Hello everyone, it's Robin, the Artsy Bohemian, coming to you from my studio in Los Angeles, California. So today I am going to be working on something I started, I believe, in December. It was part of a series that I was using Jeanne Olivers' book. Let's see if I can find it here. This to inspire me, the painted art journal. It's not by any means her style, but I'm just really inspired by her work. And so this was one of the things I had started. It's basically taking an old planner and the one that I never used. I mean, I pretty much just drew in it. I don't really write stuff down unless it's for my business. So this is like 6 years old, and I don't like throwing anything away, and so I'm just going to be reusing it to make it into an art journal so I can write down ideas for new projects. That's kind of what I use my journal for. And I had glued several sections of papers together so they're super thick. I can paint on them. And this is nothing new. People do this all the time. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, this is going to be a quick video on just what I'm doing for the cover. So the cover was black, but what I did was I painted black gesso on it so it has a nice tooth. And now I'm just going to play around with colors because I'm kind of in this Bohemian bright color mood. And I recently sent out a questionnaire to my email list asking them if they had 2 questions, what would they ask me about, you know, my business or art or whatever. And overwhelmingly, I had people ask where I get my inspiration from. It kind of took me off guard, or threw me off guard, I should say. So it's made me really think about where inspiration comes from. So I think what I'll be doing for the next couple of videos is just going a little bit more into why I'm doing what I'm doing for each particular project. That seems to be a theme that a lot of you want to know. It's kind of intangible, and it's kind of a deep thinking kind of a process. But ultimately, I think it depends on your environment and how you see things. We're artists, we're creative people. We tend to learn things visually. At least I do. And so I know what I like and I know what I don't like. And so I kind of stick to the things that I like. So for this book, I'm going to be doing some gypsy colors. If you've been following me on Instagram, I'm starting a cabinet, and I'm going to gypsify it, and I'm going to make it really pretty colors. And I have an idea of what I want, but I'm not really sure how to do it, so I'm going to wing it. Everything is figure-outable, like Marie Forleo says. So these are pieces that I had dyed a long time ago with, I took a class on how to use Procyon dyes. And it was a day-long class, and we just dyed all day long. And I brought all kinds of, or actually these were in the class kit. They were white. These were all white. And I just went to town. And so I've been hoarding these pieces because I absolutely love them. They're so precious to me, and they took me so long to dye. So I thought this is kind of what I'm thinking the cover will be. And then on top of that, I'm going to add the IOD transfers, and I'll show you those in a minute. So this is kind of the color palette I'm going for. These brighter teals and mixes of yellows with lime green, and this one has a little bit more magenta, so I'm probably not going to do that. But I just wanted to show you, this is my inspiration. It's something that I did a long time ago. If you can't find inspiration, if you're creatively stuck, my go-to is always Pinterest. Always, always, always Pinterest. I get fired up. I look at all kinds of wonderful artists' work, and then I use those as a jumping point. I don't copy, because it's kind of hard to copy sometimes, especially if you're looking at somebody else's work and they're using different materials or whatever. It's just a jumping off point for me. So that's my tip of the day for inspiration, is go to Pinterest. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to compile a workbook, and it'll be a little freebie that I'll have on my site at some point. This is another piece I made. This is also with the dyed trim, And it's a necklace I made with the dyed trim. So I'm going to make mine a little bit brighter than this. So let's just go for it. All right, I'm going to do some dry brushing on here. I'm going to start with some lighter colors. And if it doesn't work out, I'll just paint back over it. I don't really worry about it too much. You know, you can get at Lowe's, they have an area where there's boo-boos. I think that's actually what they call them, or oops. There's a tray. So people will come in and say, I want this particular color, and then it doesn't come out the way they want. And so Lowe's will sell it in little containers and at a decent price. I can't open that one, so I'll just use this one. And so what I'll be doing is, my intention is to, this is a really old brush, put some bright colors on there, not saturate it with bright colors. I want it to kind of look distressed. I want the black to show through, and if there's not enough black showing through, I'll sand it away a little bit. But this is just dry brushing this on here. And note, this is a great brush because it's old, but it also is falling apart. So I'm going to kind of switch over to my little... And I'm just using cheap brushes. I'm not using anything fancy. You can get these in the children's department at any hobby store. I'm trying to take off some of this hair that came off. By the way, you can always use these old paintbrushes to paint on and use as artwork. So that's probably what I'm going to do with this one. It's not usable anymore. So that's kind of, just go ahead and do that. This will be a good experiment to use this as a sample board, even though I don't have black on there. Already looks better, right? Okay, let's do a little bit of turquoise. So you notice I'm kind of leaving the center open, making kind of a frame. And I really love the way this is looking already, just this nice distressed look. And I didn't clean my brush off. I kind of like mixing the two colors like this. I also tend to work in kind of a diagonal. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's a way for the eye to move down. So you notice I'm concentrating more of the color down here. So just follow along with me. Sometimes it's just better to do and not make it cerebral, because art, I don't think, is really that cerebral. I mean, it might be to some extent, but a lot of the times it's your instincts. And I'm going to let this dry, and I'll be back. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit more on the back. It dries pretty quick when you do dry brushing. And I had gotten a bunch of paint on my hands because I must have closed this and spilled a little. So what I did was I just took it and I wiped it on the brush, and I love that. It looks so cool. I just love these colors together. So it's kind of a This is called leaf green. And then this is just a turquoise. They call it blue green, but I'm not going to tip it because it'll fall out, but it's called blue green. But really it's turquoise. So let's do a little bit more of that blue green. I might add a little bit of orange to this. Just a little bit at a time. Love it. These colors look ethereal to me, kind of like a Maxfield Parrish painting. Just Google him. Very dream-like paintings. I think that took like a few seconds to make. And you take an old brush and you make it into a piece of art. Not my idea. I first saw it with Anna Dabrowska from Finnabar. She just does all kinds of great things with recycled stuff, even cookie sheets. So I'm just doing horizontal and vertical strokes. And this time I think I'm going to do the focus up at the top here. It's just cool. The ridges pick up the light. Colors. Okay, we'll let that dry. I think maybe I'll paint some of the pages here. Extra paint. Painters always take the extra paint because they don't like wasting it, and just paint something else with it. Okay, let's let that dry. Some lace here because I don't want that to show. It says Desire 2015. That's the name of Danielle Laporte's this journal. And so I'm going to cover that up, and I'm just going to use glue, and then I'm going to go back over it and paint it probably. So it'll be kind of interesting to see what happens here. I also painted some, I had some orange that I needed to use, so I painted paper clips. That's always a good way to use your leftovers. I'll let that sit and dry, and then I'll go back over and add some paints to it, like I said. Yeah, this is just a scrap of some black lace that I had, or trim. My daughter's playing the piano. I love it. It sounds so beautiful. I don't know if you guys can hear it or not. I have my studio, and then the garage is attached to the studio. And that's where she practices. I think she's learning how to play music The McQueen's Gambit. If you guys haven't watched it, it's amazing. It's just so good. Great acting, great storyline. Unusual storyline, that is. Leave a comment in the below if you've watched it. You can get it on, I believe it's Netflix. And it's not a sad movie either. There's all kinds of things that I kept thinking were going to go wrong, and they never did. It's not like it's Pollyannish either, but it's refreshing. That's for sure. And then I have some of this other lace. I don't know, after I paint it, and I might add some of this lace on there. Because it says the Desire Map Planner down there. I'm going to keep pressing this down. Messy, messy, messy. And I love the way this paintbrush came out. It'd be cute to put some lace on this too. It'd be fun to add it to a journal if you wanted to, or you can glue it down. I might do that on here. I'm not sure, but you can always drill a hole in it and make a bunch of them and make like a banner with them. That would be cute. See? More inspiration for you. Just gotta think outside of the box sometimes. It's messy. So I'm gonna put that over there. I might go through here. Let's see, I'm gonna go over a little, just my daughter got accepted to Berklee School of Music in Boston, which it's bittersweet. It's her passion. She's just kind of became born a gifted musician and singer. And of course I don't want her to leave because it's 3,000 miles away, but I think it'll be an amazing experience for her. And if any of you guys have any suggestions on scholarships, let me know in the comments below, because it's not cheap. How to get scholarships and grants and stuff like that for college tuition. So yeah, this won't look like this once I paint it, of course. I just didn't really want it to look like I painted over an old book with the imprints of who I bought it from. So yeah, I'm gonna paint over that when this dries, and I will be back. Okay, so it's dry, and that's what it looks like. Here's the back. And I'm going to paint over the lace. And I'm going to use the same colors that I used to start with. I think, let's see, I think I might do a little bit of the turquoise first. And I'm going to kind of use the side of the brush as opposed to this, just to kind of go over it. brush was wet. I started. I just wanted to tell you that you really do need to make sure the coat's dry in between, otherwise it'll look like mud. So it's not a quick process doing stuff like this, but you don't want to mix your colors when they're still wet. It's just not going to work. And you know, this is just acrylic paint, so it doesn't take forever to dry, especially if it's a warm day. It was warm here today, even though it's winter time. You know, SoCal, that's how it is. Just gonna do a light coat because I actually am gonna dry it like this. That way I can work on both sides. Cool. And then I'll do, once this dries, I'm going to do the green on top, and then I'm going to start pulling it together with little tiny bits of red and maybe this color. This isn't really red, it's like a coral. Just on the edges, kind of peeking through. The majority of the book is going to be in these colors. And then I'm going to do some IOD transfers. Hopefully I'll be able to do that. I'm just going to paint the pages on here. I got extra paint on my brush. Okay. So it looks like this. Maybe I'll do a little bit more here. Always better just to start off with a little, for me anyway, and then you can go back in and add more. Okay, I'll let it dry. Hello. So I waited for this to dry overnight. I probably could have done it sooner, but I didn't. So as long as you make sure that it's dry, you can move on to the next step. That's the key to doing something like this with different layers of color, especially since we're using opposite colors and they tend to make like a muddy color if you mix them. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some more of this green, the leaf green, as a highlight, and I'm going to do a little bit of this coral. And I'm going to probably do them at the same time, but I'm not going to mix them. so much that they'll turn to mud. So I think what I will do is I'm going to just kind of take a little bit of paint and then do some dry brushing here. Just a little bit more than that. And I'm not going to put too much on, just going to dry and let it see what it looks like, because as you can probably tell, if you've been following along with me, when the paint dries it looks different. So you can add more if you want after it dries. And this does dry pretty quickly, so. Just kind of adding some lightly in some areas and a little thicker in other areas, just to kind of give it this interesting balance. So I add a little bit more here, more saturated, but for the most part it's going to be just the highlights of this color. And you know, I can go back in. I know I'm just kind of adding a little bit of wisps here, wisps I should say. And I'm not going to use the same paintbrush because I'm going to add little bits of this color. I'm not sure how it'll look, but just little tiny bits here. Yeah, I'm not so sure I like it all that much, so I'm probably going to do more of a red. Maybe this one. No, that's orange. Actually, I kind of think I might try the orange again. Just a little bit. And I'm going to grab some red. A little bit of red here. Yeah, I like the red a little better. Just a little bit. Adding a little orange. Start adding a little on the sides here. And then I will probably go back over it with some gold, metallic gold. And we'll see how it looks towards the end when it dries a little bit more. And a little bit edges. You don't want to do like one long line. You don't want to, for this type of look, you don't want there, you want there to be breaks in the line. Almost like there's paint underneath peeking through. Smear that a little bit. Start just dry brushing, you know, little bits here and there, and like I said, you can go back and add more if you want. I'm kind of liking that. We'll see what it looks like when it dries, and the finishing touch will be adding some gold metallic paint and maybe a little bit more of this red, and then the IOD transfers. Okay, I thought I was done, so I put a coat of matte medium on, and then I realized I wanted to put gold on there, so that's what I'm going to do. I have this one. It's kind of like Rub and Buff, but it doesn't dry out. I love it, and it has a really pretty smell. I believe you can still get this at Michael's, or yeah, Michael's. I don't think it's at Joann's, and it's by Artsy, and it's kind of like Rub and Buff. So I'm just gonna do a little bit here. See what it looks like. It's kind of too coppery. I'm kind of wanting to do this gold, so we'll see. And this one's super light, so we'll see. This is gorgeous, though. I don't know if you can see how metallic that is. It's by Nova Color. This is a company not too far from my house that carries painter's grade artist paint, and it's way less than like golden paints. So I'm just going to do the same thing with my finger. And then, yeah, I think I like that one better. And I'm probably not going to redo the matte medium. You know, when you have paintbrushes that get kind of stiff and you think you can't use them anymore, this is what you would use them for when you want kind of scratchy looking marks. So don't throw your paintbrush away. That's the moral of this story. I love this gold. It's so beautiful. Drying pretty fast too. Yeah, you're supposed to use, this is the first time I'll be using the IOD transfers, and you're supposed to seal it with some kind of matte sealant before you add the transfers, and then after that you put another sealant on top of it. So I want to do like a glossy probably on it. And again, I'm not painting everything gold. I'm just kind of adding little highlights here and there. Plus, a lot of this is going to be, not a lot, but, you know, there'll be a nice chunk. See how pretty that is? Covered with the transfers. So this gold, just in case you're wondering, I don't know if they have a website, to be honest with you. It's called, just close this so it doesn't spill. See, it's only $4.95. Sun Gold. It's $1.85. Pearlescent opaque. And it's acrylic. Or polymer, a medium they call it. Really a nice gold. Very, very metallic. And you wouldn't, I mean, it looks so light, the gold color to me, but it really don't need a ton. And those of you who know about Rub and Buff know, you know, it works really, really great, but it doesn't last very long unless you know how to cover it so it doesn't dry out. Plus, it smells. It's kind of smells toxic. You know, it's something that decoupage artists used to use in the 70s and maybe even before that. I remember my mom using it, I think, on her decoupage pieces. That was kind of a big thing in the 70s. See how cool it looks with this kind of scratchy look. You wouldn't be able to get that from a nice, clean looking, brand new paintbrush. Just painting the extra paint, using it all up, and this won't take long. And then I promise the last part is it's kind of pretty, just like this, right? Is the transfers. I just really want to play with them and see what they look like. This is kind of a experiment for me, and so that when I use them on my cabinet, I'll have a better idea. Alright, so I waited for this to dry overnight because that's what they suggest, that it seems like it's very important to make sure any paint and sealer is dry at least 24 hours. So that's what I did. They actually recommend like a week or something crazy like that, but I didn't have a week to do that, so that's what I did. And the decals or the transfers come in these tubes, so you have to cut them out, and I already cut the one out that I want to use, and you cut it out like this. Some of you already used these before probably. They're huge, you know, they're pretty big. Most of them are. These are the smaller ones, and that's why I thought it would be fun to try it out on a journal. I hope it works. This is my first time, so you guys are going to be seeing this for firsthand. So you cut it out, and then you carefully take the backing off. Those of you who have used rub-ons, it's kind of a similar thing. Except you have to cut the rub-ons real close to the image or the word. So I thought I would do this. And you press it down. And you use this tool that they give you. And you just start rubbing it, and it starts to come off. kind of just keep doing this and lifting. And this part I'm going to kind of have it, I don't know, I might have it spill over on the inside. I'm just kind of being real careful on this part because this is where the lace is. And I'm experimenting to see if it actually sticks to the lace. Because in the videos I've watched, they are able to go over, it's almost like four-wheeling to me, the way that they're able to go over bumps and decorative elements on a cabinet. So far it looks like it's sticking. And you have to kind of rub it and then start gently pulling it where you've rubbed it. Because if you rub it too hard, it won't stick to your surface. It's kind of like a delicate balance of a firm burnishing, and as opposed to just keep rubbing it until it looks like it's kind of come off and then it doesn't. So you can kind of see, I'm going to go back, you go back over and then burnish it some more because you can kind of see where the, there's like a shadow on here. I saw them do stuff like this where they would bend it over things, and it looks like it already stuck, so that's good. Going over that lace. And then you kind of just press it on there. So it's pretty opaque. You can see that it's really opaque. And then some of them take this and just burnish over it. You kind of press everything down. I don't really like that shadow on there. I'm hoping it kind of disappears. So this is what it looks freshly after it's been burnished. See that shadow on there? I don't like that. So I'm going to keep burnishing it and, yeah, just kind of pushing it down into the lace. It's kind of an interesting texture. And then after this, after you put this on, you're supposed to coat it again. And speaking of coating, by the way, those of you who aren't familiar with a sealant, you have to put some kind of matte sealant on the paint before you put the transfer down. Some people say they don't do that, but I'm just doing what the sisters that came up with this product say to do. So this is just matte medium. There, you know, I believe Mod Podge has a matte medium that you can use as well. And that's a little bit more attainable for most people who go to hobby stores. And it's probably something you've used before. So, you know, sometimes when people that have been doing stuff for a long time say something, it's like for those people who are new, you're like, what? I don't know what you're talking about. They act like I hate when you're trying to figure out some kind of technical problem like on your computer and they're like, oh yeah, just change your cache and switch your browser, and when you're first starting, you're like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So I try to remember that when I'm crafting. I've been doing this for so long that I might just say, oh yeah, just use a matte sealer, and you really don't know what that is. It's basically kind of like a clear coat, and it comes either in a matte, satin, or kind of a high gloss finish. And I don't know why they suggest a matte finish, but that's just what I did. I follow the rules, so most of the time. So yeah, this part is a little tedious, but in order for the decal or the transfer to stay on there, you have to really make sure you burnish this. And so I'm gonna do the same for the inside here. It actually just kind of peeled right off and stuck, so that's kind of cool. And I will probably do more smaller transfers. I have these really pretty birds that I bought through the Prima IOD, and so that's looking pretty. Just don't like that up there. That's kind of yucky. I don't. If anybody knows how to get rid of that shadow, just looks like I put a sticker on. Not happy with that. Maybe it goes away after you put a sealer. I do like how opaque the transfer is, and I like how lumpy it looks because I put it on that lace. But see that shadow on the wording there? It just looks like a sticker. Not so much down here. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed that. This took me about, between all the drying, several days to do this. So this is not, it looks like it's a quick project, but in order for the paint to cure and then the sealant, you have to wait in between and let it dry. Right now it's really warm where I'm living, and so it's drying a lot quicker than normal, which is good. So I was able to speed things up. But just know that this video is probably less than an hour, and it takes several days because you have to wait for everything to dry. But I think it's worth it. I like it. I'm probably going to keep adding on to it, and I might put something on the back. But there you go. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe and hit the like button. And also, if you hit subscribe, click the bell icon and you'll see choices on how you want to see my videos. If you want to see my weekly tutorials or flip throughs that I do every week on Tuesdays, make sure you hit all. Otherwise you won't see them. And also I have an online school. I'll put a link down below, and I teach all kinds of unconventional Bohemian style crafts. So thanks a lot. I'll see you in the next video.